I'm gonna reskin it. So true story. The Gibbering Mouther and the Grick were the two things I was considering as the main encounter for the pilot of the Bard's Tale. And it was just like the notion of reskinning either one of them to be like this amorphous, like blobby, gooey mucus thing that was jettisoned off a Leviathan.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a tough call to figure out which one I wanted to do. I ended up going with a Grick, but yeah, I think if I'm doing this, I'm re-skinning. Maybe there's not so many teeth. Maybe there's only like an odd form that kind of swallows you, and it does like acid damage instead of piercing damage. It's more of like a gelatinous ooze, or like an ooze rather than like an aberration. But maybe not. Maybe it does have like sharp things inside it that like cut you and pierce you and everything else. But I think like the notion of like teeth and eyes skeeves me out more than like I wanna like, for lack of a better phrase, like it skeeves me out more than I want to put my players through. So like maybe it's just like one amorphous blob with some teeth instead of being a tooth and eye golem. But yeah, I think like so there's some cool things about CR2 creature stat blocks, right? Is that like between like 1/2 and probably CR3, you don't really have to worry about the specific monster. What you're looking for at that point is ideas for abilities, right? Especially if like you're making custom monsters regularly. So I think there's a lot here that give you an idea and insight into things that are going to challenge low-level parties that aren't going to be particularly cruel, right? Like difficult terrain is rough, movement speed of 0 is rough. This madness thing is pretty rough. But ultimately we're still only doing, 17 damage turn. So maybe we adjust that here and there also. But we're doing a bite attack, right? Like it's not creating new ideas. It's about like using these as resources to develop new and interesting monsters that fit the setting you're developing. So if you want to see how I did that in the past, look at the pilot of the Bard's Tale. So
well done. And I would say that that's a fantastic tip for any DMs, especially new DMs. If you're not sure, how to use a monster, don't feel like you have to use every.
Right.
So this, for example, could attack with a bite and a blinding spittle if you made the recharge roll. Doesn't mean you have to.
Right.
Don't remember that being a DM is kind of always adjusting to what's going on with the party. If the party's really struggling and like you're on the verge of totally killing them with this monster, don't.
Especially
make it challenging, but don't unnecessarily kill them.
Especially at like a CR2. Like if a CR2 is about to wipe your party, like it's probably their first time playing. Like don't be that guy.
But even with veteran, I think you would agree with this. Even veterans, so a lot of times when you have veteran players at your table, they know all the monsters. Like some of them, even growing up in older editions of D&D, like my friends would have all the stat blocks memorized, and they would metagame. So they, even though their character wouldn't know what the hell a Gibbering Mouther was, they knew what it was, and so they knew how to defeat it. Right? Well, then just reskin it, like Brian said, and give it a different name, give it a different description, and throw them off. They won't know. Or change the blinding spittle instead of a flash of light. Maybe it's acid damage, or remove the gibbering component altogether and add in something else. Yeah. So I think what you pointed out is an excellent tip for DMs of all experience levels, because you can take this stat block and recreate things.